I think I've officially convinced Matt that we should not put a TV in the guest room, which means this whole lovely blank navy blue wall is mine. Oh, goody. I've never really been a person who's like, gallery wall, I want it. I tend to just kind of put up art that I make or that I buy in random places around the house. But when you have a big blank one like this, it is kind of screaming gallery wall. We're not making a gallery wall in this video. We're making one piece of art. But it is nice to have a specific place that I want to put that piece of art so that I can like choose colors based on that, color, size, all of that, woohoo. Also, I had to get a new plant for here. I guess I didn't have to. The plant that was here died. I think I killed it by overwatering it, which is the most common way I kill my plants. It's from overwatering, not underwatering. It did like a weird puffing up of the leaves thing, and then like the whole base was rotted. So I got myself a new one. The leaves are so pretty, and they're purple on the underside, so don't die. While we're talking about totally unrelated things, I also had a horrid buggy catch and release situation 5 minutes ago. Cockroaches, man. Ugh. And not like a little one that just makes you go like, ooh, cockroach. No, this one looked like it was somebody's like pet cockroach. Ah. Anyway, artwork, woo! I want to do an art piece that is very specifically inspired by a specific artist. I feel like I should direct people to Pottery to the People's Steal Like an Artist series, because she explains the concept of stealing like an artist so well. I will link this artist, their Instagram page, in the description. I have no idea how to pronounce their name. Haradam? Haradam? Many apologies to them if they ever see this, which they probably won't. They are a Korean fiber artist, and their work is just incredible. A lot of it is sort of macrame based, but it is not at all macrame like you would think of it, which is why it was so inspiring to me, because I really like making macrame. I like the process of doing like the knotting and stuff, but macrame itself, the traditional style that you tend to see, and there are various macrame styles, but nothing that I've seen in macrame so far is really a style that stands out to me as personally appealing. And this was the first thing I saw that is like utilizing macrame techniques that made me go, ooh, I like that. I'd like to actually put that up. Definitely check out this artist, go check out their work. Basically, I'm gonna attempt to do a not as good version of this, especially because they like hand make their frames and everything, and it's absolutely pristine and stunning and well done. Ugh, this is my appreciation of their incredible work. So for starters, I wanted to get a frame, and I picked this up at one of the many creative reuse stores that I visited on my road trip. I don't know if it'll actually work, but I liked the size of it, and it's simple, and I think hopefully it will be stainable, because that's the first thing I want to do is stain this the walnut color of everything in that guest bedroom. All the trim and everything is a walnut stain. But I also need sort of a back frame for this that the actual macrame will be attached to. So I also just got some wood, basic wood. I'm gonna stain that as well, and then hopefully construct a frame that can fit on these inner sides. So this will like fit over it. I have like loose plans in my head of how this should work, and the underwriting knowledge that it might not work. But I'm not too worried about it, because if this frame idea doesn't work, I think it won't be that hard for me to go out and get a little bit more wood and actually build my own frame. It won't be a very pretty frame, but I think it will be basic and fine. Basic and fine. My life motto. So before we get into macrame and cord and all that stuff, let's go stain some stuff. Woo! Which also means I need to go get the wood out of my car, because I left it there because I was feeling too lazy to bring it in, even though it's literally like one light handful of wood. I was in a mood. While I make the grueling journey from my studio to the driveway, let's take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Pair Eyewear. Pair makes a great selection of high-quality, affordable glasses in all sorts of frame shapes. I got the Larkin frames in blue clear. But to top it off, see what I did there? Their glasses can be adjusted in style with top frames. They have a super handy virtual try-on feature that allows you to test the various styles and colors on your face and make sure you like the look before you buy. But if you enjoy matching your glasses to your outfit or just switching up your look when the mood strikes you, check out their crazy big collection of top frames. There are so many fun colors and patterns to choose from. I do love a classic black frame, but this one has sparkle in it. These daisies are adorable, and y'all know I couldn't resist a blue and white pattern. Best of all, Pair also offers sun tops. Instead of having to spring for subscription sunglasses, I can pop these babies on top and I'm good to go. All their top frames are super light and attach both easily and securely, and I love their glasses case with the handy front pocket to hold your favorite sun tops when you're out and about. If you're excited about glasses that can be changed with your mood, your outfit, or even just the lighting, then click the link in the description below to check out Pair Eyewear. Use code TheStitchery15 to save 15% on your first pair of frames. Thank you to Pair for sponsoring this video, and let's head outside for some staining! RIP to the guest bedroom plant. Sorry I killed ya. I forgot I had also bought this shepherd's crook hanging thing and also left it in my car, so quick break to get that in the ground. I wanted something to hang my bird feeder on because right now over in the trees, it's just a squirrel feeder. I don't mind feeding the squirrels, they're hungry too, but they're kind of monopolizing it right now. Look at the work they've done. That was full 2 days ago. And I know this hanging method will probably not deter the squirrels because they are both smart and acrobatic little dudes, but at least over here I'll be able to observe and be amused by their antics. Anyway, back to wood. Should I be staining things in this dress? Probably not, but I'm sure it'll be fine. The frame only lightly took the stain, so there was definitely some sort of finish on here. We'll see how it dries, but let's be real, there's no way I'm sanding that, so making my own janky frame is looking more and more appealing. Or necessary. Time for cord! You know, the problem with finding a nasty bug in my house is that now for the next 2 to 5 days or so, I'm gonna be walking around staring at the ground because my brain always assumes there must be more. And then like every bit of fuzz, which there's a lot of fuzz in this house, thread, puppy fur, random little detritus, freaks me out because I'm like, bug. It's not bad if it's like a fly or a spider or a silverfish or something, but ugh, cockroach. Okay, we're done with that. So, because I had a specific color scheme I'm going for in there and not much macrame cord left, the only macrame cord I have is mostly white or I have like a few kind of bright colors. I went ahead and just ordered some more from this company, however you pronounce that name. I'm not recommending them or anything, it just, you know, it's the one I used. Ordering online though means that it's hard to tell if the colors are right, hence, this definitely is not right. This is like a periwinkle lavender kind of color, which like, okay, fine, because I also ordered a variety of different like sizes and types of cord because I want a lot of different textures on this piece. So this was my, let's see what the t-shirt yarn stuff is like, and I don't think this kind would look right on the piece anyway. So this whole one is a, oh god, that was heavy. But all of these, I'm fine with the type of cord. I also did go to Quilting for Community first, which these 3 are from, and I just checked out what they had. It's a little harder to find macrame cord in the crafting thrift stores, or at least in the ones near me. Usually a lot of yarn, not as much macrame cord. The thing is, that room is kind of weird colors. I guess not weird. Well, kind of weird. It's navy blue, but then there's also like cream and kind of brass-ish brown colors in that wallpaper, and then all the accents we did in gold, which is why I got this one gold cord, because I thought it would be interesting to like work one piece of gold throughout the piece. But yeah, there's kind of gray in there, so I got gray. I don't know, I think I need to take all of this and go lay it out in the guest bedroom and see which colors actually work. Because like I got the turquoisey one and I got this one because they both reminded me of one of the pillows that I made. And it's like I can bring in some accent colors. You don't necessarily have to hang up art in a room that is the exact colors of the room, you know? Like, do I want everything in there to very specifically be brown, navy blue, and gold accents? These are the questions I am asking myself as a person who does not frequently make art in a specific color palette. Usually I just make it rainbow. So I also have some yarns that I could potentially use if I'm going for like a lot of different textures and sizes. So I'm just gonna go dump all of this on the bed and make some choices. Some of these cords really did match the pillows well, but trying to put together a palette that goes with the room and also works within itself was a bit challenging. Even the two darker blues I got don't really look right together. In the end, I decided to limit myself to fewer colors, and we're going with this. I'm a little worried it'll blend into the room too much, like maybe I should have gone with a completely bright contrast color and not match the room at all? I don't know, this is very outside my comfort zone, but also we are just trying stuff, so the stakes are incredibly low. Hello! What a big boy. Y'all, I love how that room turned out, but remind me to never do a room with such a limited color palette again. I just never know how to add anything to it, because if you do the existing colors, there's so much of that already in the room that then it's like, well, this doesn't stand out, you barely notice it, is it all just the same? But then if you add a totally different color, it's like, well, why would you do that? I don't know. I work so much better in the realm of, you can put whatever color you want in here and somehow it still works. This is weird framing, I'm too tall. So the way that I'm assuming I should go about this is just making a bunch of separate ropes of macrame in, you know, whatever knots you feel like, however long you feel like. Actually, let's be real. I'm sure the original artist puts a lot of thought and planning into it. I'm just gonna make a bunch of stuff randomly. So using my 5 colors and types that I have, and then this gold one, I think I'm gonna mix with the blue so that it stands out a lot. I'm not sure what knots I'll do. I'm gonna start with the basic ones. The basic one, square knot or whatever. It's been so long since I like really explored macrame that I remember almost nothing. I got clove hitch and I got the square knot. And beyond that, I'm like, what else was there? How else did you do things? I got a pipe, wahoo, and some hooks. So you just kind of make each one freeform and you should be able to take it off like a macrame belt almost. Like you don't really have to finish the ends because the ends are getting stapled onto the frame itself. What I do need is like a setup that I can put this on. Preferably one that does not require me to sit in hunched up gremlin mode all day, because macrame is a great chance, because I always do it sitting on the floor, to sit up straight, work those back muscles. Let me go explore around the house and see what I can find. I settled on hauling the dining room chairs in here because they have handy slatted backs. Pretty sure that's what I did the last time I was making macrame too. I didn't get scissors. And the second I got going, I did a square knot incorrectly, thereby reminding myself of the twisty thing you can do. The half square knot, I guess? And yeah, just went off on that lark for the first piece. Essentially though, it's just gonna be a lot of this, making randomly linked sections of various colors and types of cord until I feel like I have enough to fill a frame. Let's montage this, baby.
Whoa. Whoa.
How about we speed this up and add some Broadway?
I keep doing the wrong one.
If you don't know,
I don't know where I belong. Don't fight, don't lose your head. I make this in my sleep, baby. What's my sin? And I might be a dreamer, but it's gotten me this far, and that is far enough for me. How do you measure a year that I'm talking to myself and not to him? I saved every letter I wrote you. They wish me luck on my way to school. Then it will always be like this.
yes.
Remembering through a secondhand sorrow.
Yeah, okay, we're done with that. Moving on. What do we think? It's not bad. Comparing it to the door and everything, it's pretty much the same color. The other wood that I stained is much darker, which next to this makes this one look like it did not get like any stain at all. But it did. Oh, look at that. It also got some bird poop on it. Great. That's what you get when you leave stuff outside here. Bird poop. I just don't know. 'Cause here's also the thing. I don't hugely know how I'm going to attach that to the other frame with all the cord on it and everything. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna make them stick together because this is just such a light wood that I don't know that I can put anything into it. Staples, nails, screws, etc. And it doesn't have any built-in thing, like little metal tabs or anything that I could like maneuver into helping me. So genuinely, it might just be easier to build my own frame out of wood that I can glue together, staple together, nail together, screw together. You know, it doesn't look bad though. It actually looks pretty fine. It's smaller than I remember it being. Or, you know, than I was like picturing it in my brain. I think I've probably made way more cord than necessary, way more macrame cord. I don't know. Let's go play around with stuff. I guess for starters, I should just get the bird poop off. Oh, it left a little smear on the stain. That's great. I mean, that's another thing to note here, though, is that, like, the frame did not take the stain very well, so it's very, like, splotchy, and it's all dark in the corners. Like, it's not necessarily a great stain job. I'm debating. I think I just don't want to use this frame, and now I'm kind of realizing that it looks better in the room than I was expecting it to look. I mean, let's be real here. I made way bigger. You're so pretty. I'm trying not to look back at the original artist artwork at this point because the whole thing with like seeing an idea and wanting to make your own rendition, I don't know, like, actually I shouldn't say that. In some cases, you might want to like directly copy somebody to learn from what they did. And in other cases, I think it's more interesting to just go off the memory that you have and try to figure things out on your own, or maybe that's just how I always operate. All that to say, I'm not looking back to see like how thoroughly he fills the frames or like how much weaving there is or anything. I kind of just want to like figure it out for myself from here on out, which is again why I say I don't think mine's gonna turn out looking nearly as good as theirs does. I don't know that I want to use this one now that I've looked at all of this. I think one more color is just unnecessary. Okay, so that's like kinda the idea, right? Right? Kinda? But essentially I just did all that not because I want this to be the final design, although I think I will take a picture of it, but to test if my frame was too small. Because looking at all of this stuff, especially some of the ones that I did make longer, like I made this way longer than necessary, considering it's too wide to curve very much. Like the wider these are, especially with the really tight square knots, the less they're willing to curve. But I was thinking that I just had way too much in general for a frame of this size, and now that I've put them all in here, no, I don't. Honestly, I think this is kind of just right, because you want it, or at least I want it, to be fairly full. I don't want huge gaps. But actually, yeah, I think this works pretty dang well in this exact size, so we're plowing ahead with this frame, I think, which means I need to cut all of these down, get off, to fit perfectly inside the back of this, and either screw or nail them together, because these are what I'm actually going to attach all this to. All of these will get stapled onto this piece of wood, and then this frame is just going to be set on top and attached somehow. How? I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's get the power tools. It felt too early in the morning to disturb the quiet with power tools, so I used that as an excuse to sit outside sipping my coffee and getting inspiration from Instagram, also known as doom scrolling. But eventually, the coffee runs out and someone starts doing yard work, so you might as well disturb the peace. Time to find out if stapling into these fairly small pieces of wood will even work. Yeah, okay, I think this is gonna be fine. 'Tis also that time when I just have to chop off giant chunks of knots. Whee! This feels very wrong, but this is what I get for not planning out my pieces in advance and building them up to exactly the right lengths. It's all going in my scrap cord bin for use on later projects, don't worry. Actually, I may even be able to use some of these larger chunks. The real question here is how to get all the curves I want to actually, curve? And stay curved. You need tension of some kind. You need each curve to be held in place by another piece of macrame. But then that piece is also curved and has to be held in place by yet another piece of macrame. And basically, this is gonna involve a lot of futzing. We do love a good futz. I'm sewing the pieces together anywhere they overlap or abut. That's a good word I don't have enough occasion to use. I'm just using a strong buttonhole thread and unnecessarily large needle and making sure none of the stitches show on the front. When enough pieces are on here and secured to each other, the hope is that they'll all hold their shape. Like, of course they look fine laying down flat, but I need them to hold their shape when the frame is hanging. It's just a lot of rinse and repeat here now. Futz, staple, futz, staple, futz, staple, and stitch. Woo! Then I ran out of the buttonhole thread and started using scraps of embroidery floss. This is a great way to use some up since they don't show it all. Okay, so I'm happy with this. I've used all of the pieces except, you know, the little bits that I had to cut off and the one piece that I decided not to use. So now let's see how much it sags when you verticalize it. Okay, it's not bad. That's not bad at all. This is fairly loose. We've definitely got a fair amount of wiggle room here, but nothing is really sagging downward. I do think, oh God, I need to cut off all of these tails, but I didn't want to do that until the very, very end because exactly this. I think I should adjust all of the staples. The cords that are no longer twisted on the end because the twist doesn't stay in a lot of them, there's technically nothing to really hold the staples or make the staples hold them. So I was going to hammer all of the staples to make them like nice and tight and flat down. But I think before I do that, I should just re-staple some of these. I think some of them have loosened and stretched a little. I mean, some of them you can literally see that they've moved. So yeah, let me do that really fast. I'm gonna pull out a bunch of these staples, staple them again, and bang those staples deep. That sounded very inappropriate. Oh yeah. Hammering is very unpleasant, but that works. That made it actually tight. Grand. Some of them are okay, like specifically this navy blue cord, because the twist in this cord is really tight. Where I stapled them, the twist hasn't come undone at all. So then the staples are held in place by one of those twists, yeah? Does all of this make sense? I'd show you a close-up, but I don't feel like it right now. Is that okay? It's okay. The added benefit of hammering them though is that I'm also making this edge as flat as possible, because that's gotta go on here, and if there's too much bulk, we're gonna struggle bus. I think we're already gonna struggle bus, because I still don't know how I'm getting that on and like making it stay. That's a problem for about 10 minutes from now. One thing at a time, kids. Let's see if that helped at all. This side is up. That is a decision I've made. Yeah, okay, that's definitely helped a little bit. Like, there's still a little bit of wiggle here. They're not all pulled super tight, which I think is something I would try to do more if I were ever to do this again, which I don't know that I will, but I think it's fine. Fine for a first try. We can trim off all of that. Ooh, all right, not the wood. Moment of truth. Does the frame even go over it anymore? Oh, it does. Bam! Y'all, that worked. I mean, it worked as in the frame fit. The question is, how do I make it stay? It is now 10 minutes later, and I must actually address that issue. I mean, let's be real. I knew this would be an issue from the start, and I decided not to try to come up with a solution yet. But other than that, all the stuff that I thought wouldn't work or might possibly cause a problem did work and did not cause a problem. Yay! I'm gonna clean up the table, clean up the mess, and give this a little bit of thought. Or you know what? Let's do this. Let's final product this baby, and then I'll tell you how I fixed this problem at the end. Perfect. Quite pleased with that, y'all. I mean, the color palette is still a little bit weird to me, but I think trying to match the color palette in this room in general is a little bit weird. I basically based it all on the wallpaper, and I love the wallpaper, and I love how the room turned out. But if I actually break down the color palette, I'm like, what is this? But I think it was nice to try to do something with a very specific and kind of odd and rather limited palette. That was a challenge in itself, and I think it makes a nice beginning to the gallery wall. You know, it doesn't look bad up there by itself, it goes with the room, but eventually, if I surround it with some other stuff, more frames, more random pieces of art that I somehow convince myself match this room, it'll look even better. Definitely looks better than a TV, in my opinion. I ended up getting the frame onto the frame by wedging it, which I don't know if it will be an adequate long-term solution. I just grabbed some craft sticks and like smushed enough of them into the side to where it was wedged in and like nothing could wiggle, and it seems to be fine. It's pretty easy to just pull the top frame off, but hanging like this, there's no reason in my brain why it would just fall off. Yeah, sometimes the simplest solution is the best one for the time being. It was a fun exploration. I'm really glad I tried. As somebody who enjoys macrame, the process, but doesn't necessarily want typical macrame art in their own home, I think this was a really cool thing to do with it. And I'm so happy that I found the original artist. Please go do check them out. I'll link them in the description. I kind of have a building list of ideas that are in this similar vein, where I saw an artist, a maker, a creator of some kind, usually on Instagram, just doing something so interesting and unique, and it makes me want to try that thing, which I personally think is completely okay as long as you're trying it for your own benefit, to grow, to experiment with things, not to start your own business, sell a bunch of stuff, or compete with the original artist. I think it's totally okay, and it's how we learn and we grow. So there will maybe be more stuff like this somewhat soon in the future. Yay, there's artwork in the guest room now! I really do feel like I need some more stuff in here. This wall was so blank. Now it's better, but it could definitely do with even more. Maybe soon. Maybe not. Pardon me while I go to Instagram to look something up and instead get distracted. Oh goodness. I think I have officially, well, we shouldn't do it when a car is passing. I'm just gonna like mutter quietly to myself. Don't mind me. You're so sweet and mommy love your little face. This is the wedgie jumpsuit. Oh god, we were so close.